Yo, what is up, guys? So I'm here to showcase off the new CYBERSE Magician in action here. It's a new ritual card, and it actually combos well with another new card that we're going to be showcasing off in today's video, CYBERSE Witch. But Ed over here, shoutouts to him, he's made a really cool deck that is actually a lockdown using some of the new cards. Now, first off, the new CYBERSE Witch actually has an amazing effect. Now, it doesn't really matter a majority of times what your opponent is playing. This is what's going to create what I would consider a soft lock, which makes it so very few decks will be able to deal with it. Pretty much Kaiju is like the primary answer, or I guess the Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere mode. But CYBERSE Witch makes it so if a monster is special summoned to a zone that this card points to, you get to banish one spell card from the graveyard to add one CYBERSE Ritual monster and one Signet Ritual from your deck to your hand. And then you could also spell summon another monster, but here is the setup right here. So what we need to basically do is, your opponent can have a board, it doesn't really matter. But basically activating CYBERSE Witch's effect is pretty much just going to be used so you can actually search out the CYBERSE Magician as well as the Ritual for free. But the ideal combo here is to actually go for Encode Talker, CYBERSE Magician, as well as Honeybot over here. And what that allows you to do is, well, we'll go over the effect of CYBERSE Magician first, because the opponent doesn't really know what this card actually does. He actually kind of wrecks himself over here. The CYBERSE Magician is special summoned via the effect of Signet Ritual. You have all of the damage you take. That includes burn damage. But while you control a link monster, your opponent cannot target your monsters for attacks except for this one. Also, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with card effects except for this one. And if this card battles a link monster, it gains 1,000 attack during damage calculation. And if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card or effect, card effect, you get to add one CYBERSE monster from your deck to your hand. So basically, they have to target this card if they want to target anything. But Encode Talker makes it so once per turn before damage calculation, if your monster this card points to battles an opponent's monster with higher attack than it, you can make that monster unable to be destroyed by that battle, and also you take no battle damage from that battle. Then, after damage calculation, have this card or one monster it points to gain attack equal to the attack of that battle opponent's monster until the end of this turn. So basically, they have to attack this, and then you're just going to make it gain the attack anyways. And then on top of that, Honeybot makes it so neither player can target monsters this card points to with card effects, and those monsters can't be destroyed by battle. So basically, you can't target it, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and pretty much it can't be destroyed via majority of effects in the game. That's why I say, again, it is technically a soft lock. It can pretty much shut down some decks. Now, the guy didn't really know what he was doing. He made Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, perhaps thinking it could deal with it, but he cannot actually deal with it. But yeah, pretty cool stuff indeed, and I think it's more of a deck that is oriented around fans of the show, because CYBERSE Magician, unless they release some other great support for the deck, I'm not sure how meta it would be, but I'll also give you guys a deck profile if you guys want it. Now, there is a different build that I want to showcase off, because this card is definitely getting a lot of hype for people that are fans of, I would say, just the show, or just fans, I guess, of like Magician cards, because you guys know Blue Eyes and Dark Magician will always be popular in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. It doesn't matter if they're good or not. People just like playing, what they like. Again, this is basically the same concept over here, although we do not have the other card, the Encode Talker, which is going to obviously boost. But he's going to go ahead and attack and crash his monster. I think he didn't know that he had to attack that, but either way, he equips the Red Eyes B Dragon it to him. Now he's going to also half that damage, but he makes a Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, and he's going to go ahead and equip the Red Eyes Fang with Chain over to the Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. But we're going to see the Encode Target once again, and he's just going to be able to attack into his opponent here, boosting up its stats. So that's pretty good. Again, it just makes it so you have this really difficult board to deal with, and it's kind of like locking your opponent out of trying to beat this board. Again, I know Winged Dragon Raw Sphere mode is there, so I would consider it a soft lock rather than like a very, very, very difficult thing to lock. But if you, I guess, ran Mask or Restrict, that would almost be a lockdown completely. Obviously, there are some other cards maybe that people would actually be able to use to deal with it, but for the most part, most people would get locked out. Now, like I said, I want to showcase off a few different builds over here. This one courtesy of Tsubasa. This is a mirror match over here. Interesting enough, this is also a newer Yu-Gi-Oh card, Destroy Mare Ibli. So when this card is normal summon, you get to target one link monster in your graveyard and just special summon it to your zone linked to this card, but changes the attack to 0. So basically it's used as a stepping stone. But here we do see the CYBERSE Accelerator and CYBERSE Magician. So once again, if you want to attack, you have to attack into this. Now, CYBERSE Accelerator has the effect of, during the battle phase, you can target one CYBERSE monster this card points to, and activate one of these quick effects. So we can gain 2,000 attack until the end of this turn, or can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So basically, they have to target this card, and on top of that, you also make it so it gains 2,000 attack. It's almost kind of like the other card, because more than likely the only way you'd be able to get over this card, with the exception, I guess, of mind control in that scenario, because you can only target that card. But he's going to go ahead and just roll over his opponent's CYBERSE Magician here. But yeah, that's like one easy way. Now again, we saw the Ibli over. That's a really great card. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the greatest thing against this deck because, well, I mean, he's already got his board established. But it does have like a kind of negative effect where you special summon it to your opponent's field, and then this card you control is sent to the graveyard. You special summon this card in opponent's field, but it makes it so like you can only special summon link monsters. Obviously, it's not that great against a deck that can actually make link monsters, but there are some people that don't actually play link monsters, and that could completely destroy them. Now, there's actually an interesting tech that I wanted to showcase off over here as well. This guy Hero Eye is playing another build, and I mean, the vanillas are unfortunate drawn to, but there's a lot of support for just, you know, normal monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Although I don't think you'd really want to play them in this variant, but I mean, there's a lot of people that try out new things, and I do like when people try out new things. Now, we have Transcode Talker over here. Now, this one makes it so the co-link card and monsters co-link to gain 500 attack, so it's some small stats, and then also your opponent cannot target them with card effects. So basically, the whole idea was to be, oh, you can only target this card for attacks and effects, but wait, you can't even target me for effects anyways. So that in a sense is kind of like a lockdown. I know if you have 2 monsters that cannot be selected for an attack, then your opponent can't actually attack. They do not get to attack directly. I remember back in the day there'd be arguments with the ruling on Yu-Gi-Oh! With that. But yeah, if you have it so your opponent can't like target this card for attack, or must target this card, then you just can't attack. It's kind of an interesting thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! But anyways, we see the boots staggered over here, and it's going to go ahead and get out a monster, which is going to activate CYBERSE. I'm sorry, the CYBERSE Witch's effect, if you want to witch to the graveyard real fast. But you guys can see he's got a Trigate Wizard that has 2 co-links. Had he had it 3, that would have been ideal, so obviously you can get rid of a card. But at this point, it's going to be game over for Tsubasa here. But that was just really cool. I like, again, seeing interesting things in Yu-Gi-Oh! There was one card, I believe it was in this one. Okay, this one is just like I know the guy's playing like Great Sphinx. That card, surprisingly enough, it counters it. I don't think he was like trying to main deck this against the CYBERSE Magician, but in a sense, yeah, this Guardian Sphinx it does beat the lockdown. But it's just kind of funny to see people play these obscure cards because, no joke, if you can pull off Guardian Sphinx's effect and your opponent just special summon a bunch of times, there's not that many things that stop Guardian Sphinx, like, because it doesn't target anything, it just bounces the ball, it's not destroying. So that's kind of good. But over here, we see the Topologic Trisbania summon over here, and it's going to get rid of all of his opponent's back row and then burn him. And then he's got the Transcode Talker and Honeybot, so it's going to be able to make it so neither player can target those monsters. But pretty much the main goal of the deck and the soft lockdown that you can do is usually with Honeybot plus, of course, the CYBERSE Magician. The rest is just kind of icing on the cake. You could probably make the lockdown more permanent and make it so your opponent can't really deal with the board. But the only thing that really destroys them is, well, you'd be able to get battle damage, but they can't be destroyed by battle anyways. And on top of that, again, the idea is you can go Transcode Talker, you can go into the other card that boosts it up by 2,000. You can make it so it would gain the attack anyways, like you guys saw in the plays over here. But I wanted to give you guys a deck profile in case any of you guys did want to check it out. This is the one that I really personally thought was a little bit more on the competitive side. So if you guys want to try it out, you guys can let me know if you would change anything for the deck. But I definitely think that they were going to give this CYBERSE Magician more support. I mean, the card just lets you get out Signet Ritual. Where is it? Any CYBERSE Ritual monster, and if we go to CYBERSE and we go to monster and we go to ritual, as right now we just have one, it makes me think they're gonna at least add 2 unless, because you know before ritual cards were only for like one specific card, so I hope they get like a few more cards because if we can get, I know that we have like you know, Pendulum Exceeds and Synchro Pendulums. Will we get a Ritual Link Monster? Can Link Monsters also be other cards? You know, like you know, what we've seen with Pendulums. I don't know, but that would be interesting if we had a Ritual that you would bring out from the main deck that would also have like a Link Zone, because that definitely would help out the CYBERSE archetype. That would make the most sense, but that maybe is a topic for another day. But let's get started. So we have 3 copies of Boot Staggered. So this card is actually pretty good. So whenever this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you get to special summon 1 token. Now that token, even though it's could be used as a stepping stone, it's actually a really big card for CYBERSE Witch, because what you want to do is actually special summon that token to the zone that CYBERSE Witch is pointing to. Therefore, you can activate her effect to target level 4 lower CYBERSE monster graveyard and special summon it. So you get like double things off of the Boot Staggered. But anyways, yeah, you got Boot Staggered at 3. We got 2 copies of Sim Dubless. So you reveal this card in your hand, then you can target a level 4 CYBERSE monster graveyard and special summon this card. So basically, again, most of the stuff in this deck is just Link stuff, so you can just go for Link summons. And then we have 3 copies of Lady Debugger. Actually a really good card. You're able to add a level 3 or lower CYBERSE monster from your deck to your hand. And then we have 2 copies of Balancer Lord. You pay 1,000 life points, and during your main phase, you can normal summon an additional one. That's actually, again, it's all the stuff is just for stepping stones. I mean, you guys could go over the fill effects. I'm just going to kind of condense this video, but most of the stuff is just, again, for stepping stones. So we got 2 copies of Balancer Lord, 2 copies of CYBERSE Gadget, 3 copies of Widget Kid, again, another special summon, and then we got 2 copies of Backup Secretary. Then we have 3 copies of Sea Archiver. So again, it's like if you control another CYBERSE monster, you can just special summon it. Again, if a monster is normal or special summon to a zone a Link monster point to, you can just special summon it. And then we have 2 copies of CYBERSE Converter, 1 copy of Stack Reviver, 2 copies of Link Infa Flyer, 1 copy of Dot Scrapper, 2 copies of CYBERSE Magician, 1 Raigeki, 1 Soul Charge, 1 Monster Reborn, 2 copies of One-Time Passcode, which is like getting out the tokens. And then you have 3 copies of World Legacy Inheritor, so you just get to target a monster graveyard and special summon it to a zone and Link monster points to. And 2 copies of Signet Ritual, obviously you can search it out. And then we have 2 copies of Signet Backdoor. So this card is really good. Lets you target a CYBERSE monster you control, you banish it. If you do, you get to add 1 CYBERSE monster from your deck to your hand. So basically, it lets you kind of cycle through like another card. And I guess if your opponent's activating something, you can like respond to it with this. Since it is a quick play, you can kind of dodge certain things. But as far as the extra deck, we got 1 Firewall, 1 Encode, 1 Power Code, 1 Xcode, 1 Transcode, 1 Trigate Wizard, 1 Honeybot, 2 copies of Proxy Dragon, 1 Security Dragon, 1 Underclock Taker, 2 copies of CYBERSE Witch, and 1 copy of Link Disciple. Obviously, the most important cards, pretty much for the combo, is just this and this. Everything else, I mean, you only really need to make this to kind of soft lock your opponent, essentially. Anything else, you can make like the next turn. Don't worry about trying to get out. Well, obviously, if you can get it out, why not, right? But I mean, ideally, you can go for an Encode Talker, you can go for the one that increases attack, or you can go for Transcode just to boost up the stats. And again, that's basically the soft lockdown of the CYBERSE Magician, as well as like the other variants that you guys saw in the replays. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on it, and if you guys are making any changes to the deck, let me know as well. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the vid. If you did, drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button to see more Yu-Gi-Oh content.